Hey, fourth grade, welcome back. So today I'm super excited because we get the opportunity to start thinking about another nice detail that we can start to include in our personal narrative stories. I hope yesterday you had an awesome time reflecting on a person that has made you change and got a chance to share that with your teacher during your knowledge block. Today, again, as I shared, we're going to get to find another way or a new method for us to enhance our personal narratives with a new writing technique. So that being said, make sure that you have a pencil, your marble composition notebook, your Amplify knowledge workbook, as well as your reader, because we will be reading and diving into a text today. Once you have all those materials, you can press play and we'll continue on. So let's dive in. Today we're going to start with a read aloud of a few paragraphs from Esmeralda Santiago's How to Eat a Guava. A guava. Have you heard of that before? What's a guava? Ah, some of you have. Yeah, a guava, it's a tropical fruit and it looks like the one you see on the screen. It has the green skin and on the inside is sort of like this pink reddish color. Nice, so some of you have heard this before. Today, our story is gonna have to do with a guava, okay? And for our first paragraph, I actually am going to read this aloud. And as I read this aloud, I have a challenge for you. I want you to see if you can pretend to act out what I'm reading as I read. Let's see if you can act out all the different parts of the start of this story. There are guavas at the shop and save. I pick one the size of a tennis ball and finger the prickly stem end. It feels familiarly bumpy and firm. The guava is not quite ripe. The skin is still a dark green. I smell it and imagine a pale pink center, the seeds tightly embedded in the flesh. Let's pause there. Nice job acting out. You can give yourself some snaps following along. Okay, so let's think. Where's the narrator right now? Yep, absolutely. She's at the shop and save. Okay, why is she there? Yep, she's going grocery shopping. Okay, so now what were some of those things that you acted out? What were some of those things you were doing? Some of the verbs you said. Yep, so you picked up the guava, you selected it, right? You were smelling it maybe. Maybe you looked up because you were imagining what it looked like on the inside. Those were all of your actions. Now we're gonna keep reading the next two paragraphs. And as we read these ones, rather than acting it out, I want you to see if you can capture all the specific actions we see the narrator take in this part of the text. Read along with me. Today, I stand before a stack of dark green guavas, each perfectly round and hard, each $1.59. The one in my hand is tempting. It smells faintly of late summer afternoons and hopscotch under the mango tree. But this is autumn in New York, and I'm no longer a child. The guava joins its sisters under the harsh fluorescent lights of the exotic fruit display. I push my cart away toward the apples and pears of my adulthood, their nearly seedless ripeness predictable and bitter sweet. So let's pause here. What were some of the actions that you wrote down? Yeah, she was standing in front of the guavas. Yep, she picked it up and she put it back down. Yeah, the guava. Yeah, she picked up the guava. She put it back down. Yeah, she pushed the cart away. Good job. Nice. You got a lot of actions that she did. Interesting. Now, I'm wondering something. Where is this story taking place? Yeah, we're in New York. Okay. Now, the narrator says the guava smells faintly of late summer afternoons and hopscotch under the mango tree. But this is autumn in New York. Based on the text, do you think guavas and mangoes are common in New York? No, yeah, I agree with you. Why not? It says, but this is New York, right? So that word but suggests that this is not common for New York, but rather where a narrator comes from And it's possible that she didn't grow up in New York. She might have grown up somewhere else. Interesting. So in these 3 paragraphs, we learned a whole lot about our narrator, about guavas, about the different actions through the use of details. Today, we're going to talk about sensory details because we were able to pull out so much from this text through the narrator's use of this specific type of detail. So let's think about this word sensory. What word do you see in the word sensory? Yeah, sense, absolutely. Sense, the 5 senses. What are the 5 senses? Yep, sight, hearing, yeah. Touch, yep, absolutely. Taste, and smell, you got it. Sight, smell, feeling something, touching something, tasting something, and hearing something. Nice job. So if we're thinking about using sensory details in a narrative, what do you think we mean by that? Why would we use sensory details in a narrative? That's absolutely right. We want to describe what a narrator might see, what the narrator hears, feels, tastes, or smells in those experiences that we've been working on describing. Awesome. So today, before we get to do that for our own story, we want to see how that comes alive in the stories that we're reading. And so quickly, let's review our vocabulary before we dive into our text today. So as we read today, like I said, it's about a guava, or we're going to see this over and over again. Remember, a guava is a noun. It's a tropical fruit. We're also going to see this word prickly. It's an adjective. It's like pointy, right? It's hard to touch. We might see this word embedded. It's an adjective. It means set firmly inside of. Tinge is a noun, and it's a small amount of color. Crevices is a noun. It means narrow spaces. Edible is a noun, meaning it's possible to eat. Laden is an adjective, meaning it's heavily loaded or weighted down. Enticing is an adjective, and that means it's appealing, it's attractive. If I'm enticed by something, I want it. Okay, so we started to read together the beginning of our text when I was Puerto Rican, the prologue, How to Eat a Guava. So now you are going to continue, finish reading this text. And as you read this text now, I want you to think about all of the different sensory details you notice. So what does the narrator see? What does the narrator touch, taste, maybe smell, maybe hear? So go ahead now. You can pause the video, finish reading the story, and capture all the different sensory details you can find. We'll see you in a few minutes. All right, let's share out. What were some of the details you pulled out that the narrator could see or saw in this experience? Yeah, she described the guava as a little tennis ball. Yep, how the outside was like that dark green color, the inside was pink. Nice. Okay, what about touch? What did the narrator touch in this experience? Yeah, touch the guava, and like how did they describe that? It was prickly, bumpy, right? Okay, what about taste? Yeah, when she tasted the guava, it was sweet, it was juicy. Nice, so you nailed it. Here are some of the sensory details that we got as well. So you can capture these different details of seeing, of touching, of tasting in your activity book from this text. Nice job. Alrighty, so now you got a chance to see how narrators include sensory details to enhance their personal narrative stories. Now it's your turn. So over the next few days, we are going to get started writing a personal narrative about a memory or a time that we ate something, some particular food. And so today we're going to start by brainstorming different topics of our food that are related to food, and making sure to include as many sensory details as we can to describe what that food looked like, what we saw, what we tasted, maybe what we smelled, maybe as someone was cooking it, what we heard or as we cook it, or what we feel when we touch our food, okay? So we're gonna start today by brainstorming. And it's gonna be your job to brainstorm different topics. And as you brainstorm, think about those experiences with your foods. So maybe you want to think about the first time you ate your favorite food. What was it? What about the first time you ate your least favorite food, something you didn't like? A time you ate something and you got sick, or a time you cooked something by yourself, or your favorite meal that you ate at a restaurant. Or what about a time that you tried to eat something and you just made a giant mess, okay? So these are your ideas, possible things that you can brainstorm to write about. So on your activity page 4.3, you have the opportunity to brainstorm different topics for your personal narrative related to a memorable eating experience. And you can write down that food. And again, remember, your challenge is to include sensory details. So when you have that experience, what did you see? What did you taste? What did you hear? What did you feel? And then once you're done, make sure you take that picture and upload it to your Google Classroom so your teacher can talk about those experiences with you tomorrow during your knowledge block. Can't wait to see about all these experiences and all those sensory details. See you tomorrow, 4th grade.